This is the kind of moment that can completely flip a playoff week on its head. One update drops, and suddenly everything you thought you knew about this matchup feels shaky. As a 49ers fan, it's that sinking feeling in your stomach where you realize the margin for error just got a lot smaller, and it's happening right before the biggest game of the season. That's where San Francisco is right now as they head into this showdown with Philadelphia, and there's no sugarcoating it. The tone of this week changed fast. Before we even get into the details, let me ask you something honestly. When you heard the injury news start to surface, did your confidence level change at all? Even just a little? Be real with yourself, because that reaction matters. Playoff football is different. Every absence gets magnified, every weakness gets hunted, and every decision feels heavier. This isn't just another injury report. This is one of those situations that forces you to rethink how this game might actually play out. The 49ers are walking into a hostile environment against a physical Eagles team, and instead of feeling like they're getting healthier at the perfect time, they're suddenly dealing with major uncertainty on offense. That's the nightmare scenario no team wants in January. Timing is everything in the postseason, and the timing of this news could not be worse. It raises a fundamental question that hangs over everything else we're going to talk about. Can this offense still function at the level it needs to if key pieces aren't on the field? That question alone changes the emotional temperature of this matchup. What should be a confident, focused build-up now feels tense and uneasy. You can feel the conversation shifting among fans. Instead of talking about matchups and advantages, it's all about contingency plans and survival. That's not panic, that's reality. This is what playoff weeks do to you, especially when the stakes are this high. If you live and breathe 49ers football, this is exactly why you're here, and this is exactly why staying locked in matters right now. Make sure you like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, because this channel is all about breaking these moments down in real time, and we're pushing toward that 1,000 subscriber goal together. And as we move forward, keep this thought in mind, because it's going to follow us through everything else. How much can this team absorb before it starts to change who they are? When you really break this down, this entire situation centers around one name, and it's not the flashy answer people outside the fanbase usually jump to. It's Trent Williams. And the more you study this offense, the more uncomfortable the reality becomes if he's not out there. This isn't just about losing a starting lineman. This is about potentially losing the foundation that everything else is built on. People love to talk about Christian McCaffrey, and for good reason. He's incredible. He's productive, and he's the face of the offense in many ways. But Trent Williams is the piece that makes the whole machine run smoothly. When he's on the field, the offense has an identity. It's physical. It's confident. It dictates terms. Defenses have to adjust before the ball is even snapped, because they know that left side can take over a game by itself. Think about what Brock Purdy looks like when Trent Williams is healthy. He looks calm. He looks decisive. He looks comfortable stepping into throws. The timing of the offense feels natural, almost effortless at times. The run game hits faster. Play action actually holds defenders. Everything works together the way it's designed to. Now think about the games where Williams hasn't been out there. You don't need advanced stats to see the difference. You can feel it watching live. Pressure shows up quicker. The pocket collapses from the blind side. Deep routes don't have time to develop. Suddenly, Purdy looks rushed, not because he's playing poorly, but because the structure around him isn't holding up. The run game loses its edge, literally and figuratively. What used to be 4 or 5 yards on first down turns into 1 or 2, and now the entire playbook starts to shrink. This isn't narrative. The numbers back it up. When Trent Williams plays, the 49ers win at an elite rate. When he doesn't, that winning percentage drops hard. Not slightly, not gradually. It falls off a cliff. Even at his age, he's still grading out as one of the best tackles in football. As a run blocker, he's near the very top of the league. As a pass protector, he's still a problem defenses have to plan around every single week. And here's why this matchup makes it even scarier. Philadelphia thrives on winning up front. Their defensive line is built to overwhelm you, to collapse pockets, to force mistakes. Taking Trent Williams out of that equation against a front like this is about as bad of a matchup scenario as you can imagine. It changes how Kyle Shanahan has to call the game. It changes what protections are possible. It changes how aggressive you can be. So I want to hear from you right now. Do you believe Trent Williams is actually the most important player on this offense, even more than the skill guys? Yes or no? Drop it in the comments and tell me why. And if you're still watching, make sure you're subscribed, because moments like this are exactly when staying informed matters most, as we push toward 1,000 subscribers. As if the Trent Williams situation wasn't heavy enough on its own, there's another layer to this that doesn't get quite the same national attention, but could still have a major impact on how this offense functions. That's the concern surrounding Ricky Pearsall. And this one is tricky, because it's not just about whether he can suit up. It's about what version of him you're actually getting if he does. Pearsall is dealing with a knee issue involving the PCL, and that's not something you can just power through, especially at wide receiver. That ligament affects stability, cutting, and the ability to explode in and out of breaks. For a player whose value comes from sharp routes and creating separation down the field, that's a serious problem. We've already seen this injury derail his availability earlier in the season, and the fact that it's resurfacing right now is a massive red flag. When Pearsall is healthy, he brings something this offense desperately needs against a defense like Philadelphia. He stretches the field. He forces safeties to respect the deep ball. He creates space underneath for everything else to breathe. Take that away, and suddenly the field starts to feel smaller. Passing windows tighten. Defensive backs can sit on routes. Linebackers don't have to worry as much about getting beat over the top. Against most teams, you might be able to survive that. Against the Eagles, it's dangerous. This is a defense that thrives on discipline. They don't bust coverages often. They tackle well. They limit explosive plays. If you remove one of the few true vertical threats from the lineup, you're making their job easier at the exact wrong time. That's how playoff games slip away. This is where the margin for error becomes razor thin. Without Trent Williams, protection has to be perfect schematically. Without Pearsall, spacing has to be perfect conceptually. That puts a lot of pressure on Brock Purdy to be flawless, and on Kyle Shanahan to call a nearly perfect game. Every throw matters. Every missed block matters. Every dropped pass feels amplified. So let me ask you this, because I'm genuinely curious where you land. Which situation worries you more in this matchup? The potential absence of Trent Williams, or the uncertainty around Ricky Pearsall? Drop one name in the comments and explain your reasoning. And if you're finding this breakdown helpful, go ahead and like the video. It really does help the channel grow as we push toward 1,000 subscribers. Just when it felt like the focus couldn't get any more scattered, another storyline drops into the middle of this playoff week, and it has nothing to do with the injury report. Mike McDaniel is suddenly back in the headlines, and the timing couldn't be more strange. After being let go by Miami, his name immediately starts circulating, and for 49ers fans, that automatically sparks curiosity because of his history with Kyle Shanahan. McDaniel was a big part of the offensive brain, trust that helped shape what this system looks like today. He's been alongside Shanahan for years, following him across teams and helping design some of the most creative run schemes in the league. In San Francisco, he played a key role in turning Deebo Samuel into one of the most difficult matchups in football and helping establish the identity that the offense still leans on now. There's no question about his football IQ or his ability to design plays that stress defenses. Where things fell apart in Miami wasn't about scheme. It was about everything else that comes with being a head coach. Managing personalities, maintaining consistency, handling adversity, and keeping the culture steady when things start going sideways. Those details matter, and they eventually caught up to him. That doesn't mean he suddenly forgot how to coach offense. It just means the head coach role might not be where his strengths shine the brightest. That's why the idea of a return to San Francisco, while interesting, is probably unrealistic. This staff is already set, and more importantly, the focus right now has to be entirely on surviving this playoff run. Realistically, McDaniel will land somewhere as an offensive coordinator, working with a young quarterback and focusing purely on what he does best. Still, his name popping up this week adds another distraction to a week that already feels overloaded. So I want to get your take on this. Would you want Mike McDaniel back in San Francisco in any role down the line, or do you think that chapter is completely closed? Let me know in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time to do it. We're closing in on 1,000 subscribers, and every single one matters. With all of these moving pieces, this final wrinkle almost feels like a last resort card the 49ers might be forced to play. And that's the sudden opening of the practice window for Jacob Cowing. On paper, it's intriguing. In reality, it's complicated. Cowing hasn't taken a single regular season snap all year because of recurring hamstring issues, and now he's being discussed as a potential option in the biggest game of the season. If you go back to his college tape, you understand why the coaching staff would even consider it. He's quick, explosive, dangerous in space, and capable of stressing a defense both horizontally and vertically. He's the type of player who fits perfectly into this offense when everything is clicking. Jet motion, quick, hitters, gadget touches, maybe even a designed shot play. In a perfect world, he adds a wrinkle defenses aren't prepared for. But this isn't a perfect world, and this isn't a low-leverage situation. Hamstrings are unpredictable. Timing matters, chemistry matters, trust matters. Asking a player who hasn't been in live game action all season to suddenly contribute in a playoff environment against Philadelphia is a massive ask. More likely, if he's active, his role would be extremely limited. A handful of scripted touches, a way to keep the defense honest, nothing more. Still, desperation has a way of forcing creativity. If injuries strip this offense down to the studs, Kyle Shanahan may have no choice but to reach deeper into the playbook than he'd like. That's where this entire situation circles back to the bigger picture. This game is no longer just about talent on paper. It's about adaptability. It's about resilience. It's about whether this team can stay connected when things don't go according to plan. Playoff football isn't clean. It isn't comfortable. It's about surviving chaos, and right now, the 49ers are walking straight into it. Will stars rise to the moment? Will depth players step up when their numbers are called? Or will the absence of foundational pieces finally be too much to overcome? That's what makes this matchup so compelling and so nerve-wracking at the same time. So let me leave you with this. Do you believe this team has enough resilience to push through all of this and still beat Philadelphia, yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments and tell me why. And if you've enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you like the video and subscribe to help us reach that 1,000 subscriber goal. This is exactly the kind of moment where this team shows you who they really are.